We have, through time, it's been, I believe, one of the very positive things of being a member of the House in the last 6 years, to have visitors from around the world who've come and offered remarks to the body. It's an honor for us to have them. It's an honor for them to be with us, as they have said. And today we are also very honored to have Dr. Hillel Newman, who is the Consul General of Israel, with us today. He will be here throughout the day with various meetings, but I am honored that he would accept our invitation from our International Affairs Committee to speak to us, and we'd like to have him introduced right now. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about him. Dr. Newman, he assumed the post of Consul General of Israel in July of 2019, and he serves as the senior representative of the State of Israel to the Pacific Southwest. Before he joined the diplomatic corps, as we were chatting in the other room, he was a PhD in Jewish history and served as a professor of Jewish history. He secured his PhD and taught graduate courses at Bar Yan University. I may have said that with a little Spanish accent, please forgive me, and at Boston University. And he has authored and published a book on Jewish sectarianism during the Hellenistic and Roman period. We knew the Greeks were around, and we're glad that you studied them later. For the past 5 years, he has served as a key lecturer on Judaism in the NATO Defense College. During his 20-year diplomatic service, Consul General Newman accumulated vast experience in policy formulation and decision-making at the highest levels of Israel's foreign policy establishment. He has served in several influential and critical positions, including policy advisor to 3 foreign ministers of Israel and ambassador of Israel to Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. And it was fun, enjoyable, at least now, prior to coming on, to talk about those 2 countries and the situation there. Most recently, General Newman served in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as both Special Policy Advisor to the Director General and as Director of the World Jewish Affairs Department. So Consul General Newman, thank you for accepting and being here with us, and we would like to hear some words of wisdom from you, and please take the podium if you would, sir.
Thank you, Speaker, for the warm introduction. Shalom, good morning, everybody. It is my extreme honor and pleasure to appear here before this most distinguished forum of the plenary session of the legislature on behalf of the State of Israel. Allow me to open with deep appreciation to the Honorable Speaker, Rusty Bowers, for his most kind invitation to address the session and his generous hospitality. My respects to the Honorable Governor, Doug Ducey, for his dedication to the people of Arizona and friendship with Israel. My deep appreciation to the members of the legislature who have joined us here today. Thank you for joining. And my deep appreciation, my expression of gratitude to Caleb Rhodes, he's not here, who has been instrumental in making this occasion happen. My staff tell me that he's a golden gem in the copper estate. Friends, with your permission, I'm here before you today to speak briefly on 3 main topics: the state of US-Israel and Arizona-Israel relations, regional and global issues that impact our economy and security, both in creating opportunity and posing challenges. Thirdly, hate crimes and anti-Semitism, taking a moment to applaud everything that Arizona as a state is doing to stem its tide. Finally, I have a surprise for Speaker Rusty Bowers, but we'll get to that later. Legislators, I salute every one of you, honorable elected officials of this great state of Arizona, and extend a warm hand of friendship. I appear before you today proudly representing a state which may be small in size, yet a state which is large in impact, the state of Israel. I truly feel at home here in Arizona, first and foremost because I am here among friends and I know it, but also because of a list of unique qualities shared by Arizona and Israel. A feeling of breaking frontiers, nature, newness, tremendous potential, flourishing deserts, and perhaps also taming the Wild West. The arid air, the salt of the earth people. My friends, the Hebrew Bible, known as the Old Testament, was delivered in the desert. Desert is a part of our story, biblically, geographically, and spiritually. We are the startup nation, and you are a startup state. We have similar features, climate conditions, population size, and almost identical GDP. But we have one big difference, though. While your neighbors are Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, ours are Hezbollah, Hamas, Syria, and Lebanon. Consider yourselves lucky. Friends, as we extend our thoughts and prayers for a peaceful resolution to the military confrontation between Russia and Ukraine, we learn from current global affairs that the world order, or life, as we know it, and as we may want it to be, is extremely fragile. In this fragile world, we need, on the one hand, to be self-reliant. On the other hand, we need friends and allies. The two may seem contradictory, but as we all know, they are not. I stand here before you today on behalf of the State of Israel in order to say clearly, we are your friend and ally. We extend our hand in friendship and alliance to the great state of Arizona and express our appreciation for your hand in friendship and alliance. Thanks to your leadership, Governor Ducey and the legislature, the relations between Israel and Arizona are strong. I've come in order to solidify, reaffirm, and enhance our relationship. The relationship between Israel and the United States of America is founded on deep-set fundamental joint values. The United States and Israel stand together for democracy, for peace, for prosperity, for freedom of the individual. Israel has no better ally than the United States of America, and the United States of America has no better friend than Israel. This past year, Iron Dome batteries were deployed in the United States of America in order to protect American lives. This is a fine example of how collaboration between Israel and the United States brings real value and benefit to the United States, saving American lives. Arizona plays an integral part in upholding this technology alliance. Much of the manufacturing of the Iron Dome takes place right here in the Yuma Valley. This leads me on to the special relationship between Israel and Arizona. Under the courageous leadership of the governor and this very legislature, this relationship has developed significantly. It manifests itself not only in words, but in deeds. The establishment of a trade office in Tel Aviv as part of the Arizona Commerce Authority, with a focus on enhancing bilateral trade and commercial relations, has brought concrete results. This office is doing wonderful work in bridging the business communities and increasing trade and economic ties. Going into its third year, we are realizing the tremendous potential in our economic relations. Just last year, our trade relations reached a record level of more than $747 million. There are today approximately 36 Israeli companies that have significant presence here in Arizona, which offer job opportunities for Arizonians. I had the pleasure to join the governor, ACA President and CEO Sandra Watson, and others to attend the opening of the U.S. headquarters of Aeronautics, one of Israel's leading defense companies, which opened house here in Arizona. A delegation of defense companies will be traveling hopefully later this month to Israel, and a large delegation of 18 leading Israeli aerospace and defense companies will be visiting Arizona next month. This is a developing relationship. Israel may be of small size, but it punches more than 100 times above its weight. It is a miracle state. Now that the skies have finally opened, we will be glad to welcome a legislative delegation to the Holy Land, perhaps even in the near future. Please come and see for yourselves. For generations, we thought perhaps Moses made a mistake in navigation in the desert when he led the people of Israel out of bondage to the promised land. But he brought us to the land with the least natural resources. We were promised a land of milk and honey, not gas and oil. Israel was not blessed with natural resources. At first, we thought it was a mistake. But it turns out that there must have been divine guidance. Moses was not mistaken after all. Due to necessity, Israel focused its efforts on innovation and has become a global leader in innovation and emerging technologies. As the world moves towards innovation and modern technology, Israel is at the cutting edge. Arab states with rich reservoirs of oil and gas seek the closeness of Israel. A primary example of this is water technology. It was presumed that the next war in the Middle East would be over water. With the use of modern technologies, Israel not only removed the issue of water from the table of conflict, but it is now positioned to provide water to its neighbors and assist in solving water shortages. Israel has the highest percentage of water recycling, purification, reclamation of any nation in the world, 86%. We have a new device which literally produces water out of thin air. This device is deployed in many parts of the world, including here in Arizona for the Navajo. Important work is being done between Israel and Arizona in the area of water management. To name one example, one Israeli company called N-Drip that has pioneered micro-gravitational drip irrigation is currently deployed in many sites across the state. And I understand he's addressing the committee today. I look forward to working with the ACA on bringing cutting-edge Israeli water companies as part of a delegation in the near future. I encourage you to enhance R&D investment as percentage of GDP in this field and other fields, promoting water technology solutions, and work closely with us on this. Israel is also a pioneer in additional fields of interest to Arizona, like smart cities, smart mobility, cybersecurity, aerospace, defense, and others. We offer a hand in collaboration for the benefit of Arizona. From startup nation to startup state, I stand before you here to say that I'm committed to working closely with the Office of the Governor, of the Honorable Speaker, of the state legislature, and all relevant bodies, with the ambition of addressing the water challenges and any other challenges which face Arizona. Technology has changed the landscape of our country, and it can change yours as well. Let us work together to progress Israel and Arizona's futures. As Arizona and Israel work together to move society forward, tragically, there are forces that threaten our progress and our very lives. The greatest actor on that stage is Iran. Iran seeks to destroy Israel. Iran seeks to destroy the United States of America. And Iran seeks to destroy everything that our nations stand for. My friends, we should not be mistaken. This is an ideological battle. The real conflict in the world today is not between ethnic groups or religions. The conflict is between radicals and moderates. Iran is a leader in the moderate camp, in the radical camp. Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. Iran now seeks nuclear military capability, which will be an existential threat, not only to Israel, but the entire Western world. We are all charged with the responsibility of making sure that Iran will not have nuclear weapons, nor the ability to attain them. As we monitor the talks in Vienna, which go on as we speak here, we say clearly, any agreement on the nuclear issue with Iran must ensure one thing, that Iran never has nuclear military capability. We are heartened by the fact that Israel and the United States share this objective, but we must work together to stem the tide of Iranian aggression. Despite these deep concerns, there is cause for great optimism in our region. This past year, we celebrated the first anniversary of the signing of the Abraham Accords, normalizing relations between Israel and 4 additional Arab states: United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. These agreements have already created security alliances, economic agreements, and most of all, a true sense of warmth and understanding that lays the foundation for the entire region to join together in peace and prosperity. I stand here before you to state that the Abraham Accords are ushering a new era of peace in the Middle East. In signing the Abraham Accords, we paid homage to our shared forefather, Abraham, a man of peace, a man of strength, a father of many nations. I think of the biblical story of Abraham in the desert, who supplied sustenance to the 3 angels. And I think again of the hospitality that marks Arizona and Israel, places of sustenance in the desert. We all come together to celebrate and further this new age of peace. But the furthering of this peace requires decisive policy as well. The Abraham Accords demonstrate one basic fact, that the greatest obstacle to peace in the Middle East has always been the refusal to recognize Israel's existence. As home of the one and only Jewish state, I would not be doing justice to the Jewish diaspora and the state of Israel by not mentioning the alarming rise in hate crimes and anti-Semitism. Unfortunately, the United States, a beacon of democracy and of hope, has also been a victim of the rising tide of hate crimes and anti-Semitism. Jews were attacked on the streets of Los Angeles, and there were also anti-Semitic attacks even here in Arizona. I am thankful to the leadership of Arizona for recognizing this threat and doing your utmost to prevent the targeting of others on the basis of race and ethnicity. In current times, we witness a new manifestation of the classic anti-Semitism. It is called BDS. As a front for spreading hatred of Jews, they spread hatred of the one and only Jewish state, the State of Israel. BDS is simply a new method of delegitimizing the Jewish right to self-determination. Under the false pretense of political criticism, they undermine the right of Israel to exist. One only needs to listen to the founding of the BDS's remarks spoke clearly. This is not criticism. This is hatred. This is anti-Semitism. Anyone who visits Israel knows the truth. Israel is one of the most vibrant democracies in the world, with a robust judicial system, biting journalism, and a country full of self-criticism. The joke goes in Israel that every Israeli has 3 opinions, and he does not agree with any of them. Arizona knows the truth about Israel. And so in 2016, through this very legislation was introduced and adopted to address this directly, to bar those who seek to destroy the one and only Jewish state through boycotts. And when Ben & Jerry's made the fateful decision to boycott Israel without being able to explain why, the state of Arizona stood strong. You did more than enact legislation, you enforced it. The legislature, the governor, the treasurer, you all showed Ben & Jerry's that the state of Arizona will not do business with those who seek to boycott Israel. Arizona has taken a principled stand against hate crimes and anti-Semitism. For that, I applaud you. For that, the state of Israel applauds you. And for that, the Jewish people applaud you. In continuation of this path, the IHRA working definition is extremely important in the fight against anti-Semitism. Finally, my friends, when Speaker Bowers invited me to speak before you here today, he had and still has no idea that our goal was also to thank him for his years of service to the great state of Arizona, for his lifetime of friendship with the state of Israel and the Jewish people. In biblical times, as we all know, there was a special role for the speaker. Aaron was Moses' speaker. Aaron was known as a seeker of peace, a lover of humanity, a one who brought people closer to faith. You, the legislator, are like Moses. laying down the ethical code of law. And Rusty is your Aaron, speaking on your behalf. Truly in the spirit of Aaron, sometimes brokering the peace, always loving humanity, and bringing us all a lot more faith. It is a very special honor for me to present a tribute to the Speaker of the House for his lifetime of service to the state of Arizona, and in that capacity, his incredible friendship to the state of Israel. This tribute is on behalf of Israel, the Consul General of Israel in Los Angeles. Speaker, if I may ask you just to join me for a second. I'll read it. It reads, the State of Israel congratulates Speaker Russell Bowers upon the completion of his tenure as Speaker of the Arizona House of Representatives. Is it over? Not yet. As well as for his continued lifetime commitment to service of the State of Arizona. The State of Israel extends its gratitude to the Speaker for his friendship and for his service in deepening the ties between the State of Arizona and the State of Israel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Consul General Newman. I'm touched. Of course, everybody here knew I was touched in a different way. But thank you for your remarks. And the veneer of civilization is at times quite thin. And I'm grateful that you and all who have come to help us and to help us especially in waters that we need, and your capacity there, and in the friendship and assistance that Israeli people and the Jewish people who are among us as congregants and lovers of freedom, that we look to Israel as such a beacon in a very difficult part of the world, but among people who have great diversity and also great value as friends, and as you have, with our previous president, with the Abraham Accords, have promoted that, and now under President Biden have extended that and made it more official. We're very grateful to you, and please extend our thanks to the leadership of your country for the relationship, and that we hope to build it more in the future. So thank you again very much.